Methods TV.
So welcome to Methics TV. So in this video we're going to be talking about how you can apply for a student visa in Canada. So the way I applied to Canada for a student visa was I went through IDP. They're basically an educational consultant. They also do IELTS, which you'll have to do if you're coming here. I'll get into that a bit later. So what you need to do is you need to find the nearest IDP for you, and you can basically contact them via email, phone, or even they have these events where you can sign up and register. Then you get in touch with the consultant, and there onwards everything is pretty streamlined. They will explain how you can apply, what documents you need, and everything. They handle all the documents, so whatever documents they require, all you have to do is you have to provide them. And once you have provided them, they will basically rearrange and submit it. So basically, first of all, what you need to know is what kind of college or university you're going to. So college and university are very different. A university is more focused on like either getting a bachelor's, master's, or a PhD, whereas a college has like diplomas. You can also get bachelor's and master's or PhDs from a college, but I'm not too sure about that. And it also depends on what kind of study program you're going for. Since I've already graduated from university, I had to go for a post-secondary diploma. So it's like a lot more limited, and it's more limited to colleges because universities don't want to give you just a diploma. You usually have to go for like a full program. In terms of durations, be careful with what you pick. So if you pick a one-year program, after 1 year you are done and you have to leave. If you pick a 2-year program, you have a lot more time to think about it and even have a chance for an extension. And 3 or 4 years, like the more years you have on your program, the better it is for you if you're like looking to pursue a job. But again, you should never make it obvious that you're pursuing a job when you're applying for a Canadian visa. And also that is entirely up to you whether you want to do a job here or not. That you will decide once you come here. So as for documentation, you need a statement of purpose, like why are you applying to this college and why you're going there. You might want to always keep the program you're applying for close to what you've already studied or what you studied in school. And you need to make sure that when you're giving a statement of purpose, you make very clear your intentions and what you're planning on studying and how it applies to your future and why your family wants to support you and help you do the program. Now, the reason why it's important to mention what your family is doing to support you is because they'll most likely be providing your finances. So if they're providing your finances, you have to show the correlation between your program and your dependency towards your parents. So as for documents, you need your statement of purpose. Again, I already mentioned this, but that's like your biggest document. You need approval from your parents or guardians, whoever's supporting you. You need financial documents to show that you can survive here for at least for another year extra apart from your program. So let's say you're coming here for a year. You need to show that you can survive here for 2 to 3 years in terms of finances. So you need to show that you have assets, which is like housing properties or cars, or even just show that in your banks that you have a certain amount of money that can help you survive in case you can't fund yourself, or in case of an emergency and they need to freeze a certain asset of yours to obtain that money, that you're not just going to come here and bail out. So that's what it is for financial documents. So you also definitely need your educational documents, so your most recent study. So if it was school, you have to show your O-levels or A-levels. If it was university, you need to show your degree. You need to show all your transcripts. If you have additional certifications, you need to show that. If you were working, you had to show a resignation letter, or like something that if you have quit, or you had to show that you're currently working if you're working and you need to provide that information as well. You also need to have a valid passport, and it has to be valid for at least 6 months or more. Make sure you check that. And also you need IELTS with a score of 6.5 or above. It depends on your program. So sometimes some programs require a lower IELTS score, some require a higher score. It depends on the level of your program and how much communication is required. Generally, I'd say always aim for 6.5 or above. Oh, and IDP also provides IELTS if you want to do it with them, or you can just go to British Council and do it. That is entirely up to you. They have a computer-based IELTS and a written IELTS. I think the computer-based one might be easier and more convenient, but there is also the written exam. The only difference is the computer-based one, you'll get your results almost immediately. The written exam, you will get your results within 2 weeks or a month. For me, it took like 3 weeks. When you apply for your visa, it will take you quite some time, especially given Sri Lanka's financial situation, like the whole crisis. It will take you at least 3 months. If you're trying to fast track it, you can try. Sometimes, if you're lucky, you'll get it within 2 months or a month. But generally, I'd say give it 3 months or more. I got late to come to my program, so it took me around 3.5 months. So make sure you apply as soon as possible if you have a quicker deadline, and make sure that you get everything out of the way as soon as possible so that you have enough time to wait for your visa to come into you. Once your visa has been confirmed, you will not have access to your passport for around 2 to 3 weeks, because they will they will need to take your passport and need to put a visa page in it, so you will not have access to your passport for 2 to 3 weeks. So if you have plans on flying, you have to make sure that you always plan a bit late so that you can have your passport on your hand before you travel. You also need to show where you're going to be living, or you can also apply under like a pending landlord approval, which is basically to say that you have found a place but you're still waiting for approval, and then once you get approval and once you get your visa, you can basically go live there. So for document submission, your consultant will guide you. You'll have to go to the VFS, which is a visa center, and you'll have to go to the Canadian Embassy. I didn't have to go, but most of the interaction with the Canadian Embassy is now online. So IDP and their consultants will usually arrange all the documents and book your biometrics appointment and which days you have to submit stuff. Everything will be handled by IDP, at least that's what happened for me, and it was very convenient. You don't really have to think too much about it, and you'll be guided throughout each and every step. Biometrics is basically you just have to provide your fingerprints and your basically take a scan of your iris for just biometrics and identification purposes. Make sure that you avoid injuring your hands or your eyes or whatever before you go for the biometrics, because it can cause them to decline you and to reschedule you. So just keep that in mind. It can cause the biggest delay. And also you'll have to pay a fee of around 8,000 rupees. Last time I went there, it could go higher, it could go lower. This is for a fast-tracked application for biometrics. A normal biometrics process would cost around 6,000 to 5,000. Process is a bit more complex because you have to get a signed letter or something from the bank. I didn't go through that process, so I can't talk about it much, but I personally would recommend just fast-tracking it and going through the VIP path, which is a bit more costly, but I think it's worth it. That's basically the application process for getting a student visa in Canada. I hope you found this useful. If you have any more questions, you can definitely drop a comment below. Be sure to like the video and share it around with anyone who finds it useful, or if you found it useful. And I wish you the best of luck in your application process.